Hello everyone, my name is Joe Patty and I'm going to be facilitating this course for you today. Today we're going to be talking about Google Slides. Now Google Slides is a presentation program that's included as part of a free web-based Office suite offered by Google. It was released in 2006 and since then it's been helping people create, format, and work with other people on different presentations. So I hope you're really excited for this class. Let's dive right into it. To get to Google Slides, we're going to have to open it up in a web browser. And to do that, I always like to say that Google works best with Google. So I'm going to be using today Google Chrome's web browser. Now, once you log into your Gmail account, and I did that by simply clicking on the sign in and typing in my credentials for my Gmail, you'll be able to access your Waffle, or some people call it a grid, or Google Apps. And this is where you can see your contacts, your Gmail, Sheets, Docs, Slides, and even our Drive. Now today we're talking about Slides, so I'm going to click right into Slides. And this is what's known as a startup page. Now the startup page is really nice because the first thing I notice is that I can actually search for any of the files or presentations I've created in the past. Not only that, but we have access to a template gallery where Google created pre-existing templates like this photo album or these wedding invitations or even a portfolio. And if I click here, I can access a bunch of them. We can create recipe books, yearbooks, pretty cool. So if we needed quick access to something, we can quickly use one of the Google templates that are provided here. To go back, I'm simply going to click on the back arrow. Now, another thing that's really nice is that I can see the recent presentations that I've been working on. So if I wanted to work on a presentation here, and then maybe I went to go get some coffee or something, I can come back and quickly pull it back up. Today we're going to be starting with a blank presentation though. So what I want you to do is get to this page, open up a blank presentation, just like this. And once you do that, when we come back, we'll talk about the interface of Google Slides. Google Slides is an amazing application, and I just love the interface. So the first thing I notice in our Google Slides interface is that we're able to rename our presentation. Right now it's called Untitled Presentation because it's a brand new one. Right underneath that, you'll see that there's different menu options. And if you click on one of these options, it'll bring down a drop-down menu with a bunch of different commands. So for instance, if I click into my file, you'll see all of the different commands here: edit, view, insert, and so on and so forth. Now, right underneath our commands, we have something known as the Quick Access Toolbar, where we can quickly access some of the most common commands that Google Slides has to offer. Now, besides that, we'll be able to access right away different themes in this presentation. So if we didn't want it to be a simple light, which is the default theme, we can always make it dark. Or maybe we want to add a streamlined theme, and these themes were pre-created by Google. So it helps us add some style right away to our presentation without doing much work. But I'm going to keep it on the default. Now the next thing over here is a preview of our slides. And we can change it from this view over to a gallery or a grid view. And if I click on it, you will now see that I can see all of the slides that I have available to me. Since I only have one slide because I just started this, you'll see I only have one. Now I really like going back over to the film strip view. The reason being is because I can see a quick little preview of how many slides I have here, and then I can see the main preview of what my slides are going to be looking like. Underneath it, I also have access to my speaker notes. Now, if you don't see your speaker notes at this moment, don't worry, we're going to go over that in this course, and I'll show you how you can turn them on. Take a moment though, take a look at all the different buttons and commands that you can access, and when we come back, we'll have some more fun. So before we even get started with any of our content in our presentation, you may want to choose what kind of slide size ratio that you're going to be using. Now to get to the slide setup, you're going to go over to the File menu, go all the way down to Page Setup right over here, and give that a click. And when you do that, it's going to pop up a dialog box. Now, we have a couple of options here, like our widescreen, standard, or even a bigger widescreen. And you may be saying, well, why does that matter? Well, some of the scenarios where it would matter is, let's say that you're using the 4:3 ratio, which is the standard ratio. You can use that to create multi-purpose content that's going to be shown across different platforms, or maybe you're going to be printing it as a document. Now, I would use the widescreen, like the 16:9 ratio, if I was creating some highly visual content that's going to be shown on a screen for like a keynote presentation or even a conference presentation. So, really determining what you're going to be presenting this slideshow on is important. Are you going to be just printing it out, or are you going to be presenting at some sort of conference? Once you figure that out, you can choose whichever one. I'm going to choose here for today's example, the 16:9, and then I'll click Apply. Now, let's say I chose the standard. You'll see a little bit of a difference here when I click on Apply now, and it kind of cuts it in half here. So I'm going to once again go to File, Page Setup, and then I'll choose back to widescreen 16:9 and click Apply. And that's the one I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using the 16:9 ratio. So take a moment, check your settings, and then when we come back, we'll have some more fun. We're going to be talking about adding a new slide. Now, by default, when you start a Google Slides presentation, what it does is it gives you the title slide. But if we want to add more content, we're going to want to add more slides. To do that, there's multiple ways. The first way is going to our Insert tab and going over to New Slide and giving this a click. Now, I want to point out here that Google will actually also give you the keyboard shortcut, which is Control M, to insert a new slide as well. So it's really nice that we're able to learn these keyboard shortcuts, and it can save us time in the future. Now, another place where we can find the new slide command is in the slide menu, and it's actually going to be the first command right here. And the third place that we can find this is on our quick access toolbar right over here in the beginning. Now, if I click on any of these, like right here, new slide, or if I go to insert and click new slide, or even go to slide and click new slide, you'll see that it'll just keep adding new slides, which is great. So take a moment, try that out on your own, and when we come back, we'll talk about adding text boxes to our slideshows so we can enter in content in different texts. As you saw, when I hit new slide, it will give me a new slide. But what kind of slide does it give me? Because you may notice that our first slide, as I said before, is a title slide. But if I look at number 2, 3, and 4, these are no longer just title slides. These are actually title and content slides, where we can have a title and then our content. Now, to see those different layouts, all you have to do is go over to the quick access toolbar and see these different layouts that we have available to us, like a title slide for a title, a section header if we're going to switch a topic, title and body, title and 2 columns, and so on and so forth. And we can choose out of any of these which ones we want to use. So let's say that I do want to use a blank one real quick. None of these really are going to work for me in what I want to do. Because what I want is I want to have like 3 columns. But I don't see 3 columns here. So I'm going to click on blank. And what we're going to talk about is being able to add a text box. Now, to add a text box, there's 2 ways. We can either go over to the Insert menu and choose Text Box right here, or we can find the same image and icon on our Quick Access toolbar right there. So whichever way you want to use is perfectly fine. I'm going to use this icon right here, and when I click on it, you'll notice now I get a black-haired cross. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just simply click, hold, and drag and see how big I want to make the text box. And then I'll release. And there we go. Now it's giving me that little icon and saying, hey, we're ready for you to start typing. And I could type something like, hello, everyone. Hope you're all having fun. I'll add a little smiley face. And I can create as many text boxes as I want, just by clicking once again on text box, drawing it out, and then I can type something else, and then I can create one more and draw it out. All right, so now we have our 3 text boxes. So you don't always have to go by just the layout of a slide like this one here, which are very helpful. Google created some great pre-existing slides that we can use. But if none of these seem to fit the need that you're trying to get, you can just click on a blank one and select text box and create your own. We can add any content we want in these boxes that we've created. But let's say we wanted to do a list. Well, to add a bulleted list or even a numbered list, what we can do is click on the text box. And what you'll notice is when I'm clicked away from the text box, we have our background, layout, theme, transition. But the minute that I click on a text box, we have access to some of these formatting tools where we can format the different colors of the text box, the borders, we can format the font size, what the font is, and just format the appearance of the font as well. Now you'll also notice that when you click into here, you have the option to click on this to align it. We have the option to click on the ellipses and add a numbered list or even a bulleted list. But that's not the only place we can find it. We can also look in our format and you'll notice we have the option for bullets and numbering. And we can choose for a bulleted list or a numbered list. Now noticing when I hover over each, it gives me an example of some of the types of pre-existing ones that Google created for us. And this one looks pretty well. I'm going to click on this and you'll notice now I have my first bullet. And if I wanted to add another one, I press enter. I can add more to this list. If I press enter, I can press tab on my keyboard right next to my Q, and it will tab it in, so I can have a sub bullet. And I can do that again. Press enter, tab in, and have another sub bullet. And if I wanted to tab out, I can use shift tab to tab backwards. So tab is to tab in, and shift tab is to go back out. Now, as I said before, when you click out of a text box, you'll notice we have our traditional quick access toolbar. But the minute we click into one, you'll notice an array of different tools that we can use to format our text. So let's say I wanted to add a little bit of spice to this yay. Well, I can select the yay, and we can select it by double clicking on it as well, which will highlight it, and I can change the font. Maybe I want it to be an impact font. Maybe I want the font to be a little bit increased. There we go. Maybe I want to bold it, italicize it, or even underline it. I can also change the font color if I wanted to. Maybe I want a nice blue. Or I can highlight in a yellow. I can add different things like insert a link to this text, or add a comment, or align it. Maybe I want it in the middle. I can also align the spacing. Do I want it to be single space, double space, custom spacing? Or if I click on more, I have a couple more options, like animating this text, which we'll talk about later in this course. I can strike through or clear the formatting. I can decrease the indent, increase the indent, or turn it into a numbered list or a bulleted list. So take a moment, have some fun with this. Format your text any way that you want to. When we come back, we'll have some more fun. One of the biggest things I love about the Google applications is this one feature called Explore. I'm going to explain to you what it does, but before I do that, what I want to do is I'm going to click into my third slide here, and I'm just going to add some fun content to it. The first thing I'm going to do is add a title, and I'm going to call this About Me. And then I'll click into the content, or the body of this slide, and I'll talk about me, like my name, Joe. I'll also add, I'm from New Jersey, and I love training. So now I have some content. I'm looking at this slide and I might be saying, I wish that there was something more I could do with this. Well, what I can do is I can actually use Google's feature called Explore. Now, Explore can be found in two places. The first place is the bottom right-hand corner, right over here. It looks kind of like a little star. And if I click on it, it'll open up the Explore pane. Now, another place to find it is if you go over to your Tools menu, you will see right here the option for Explore as well. And there's also a keyboard shortcut. So if I click on one of those, which I'm going to click right down here, it's going to open up the Explore pane right here. And what you'll notice is the first thing it gives me is a bunch of different layouts to spice up this slide. And I can just simply look at them. I'm going to say, you know what? Oh man, I really like this one right here. Looks good. Not only that, but Explore is really amazing because you can research things without having to leave Google Slides. For instance, maybe I want to talk a little bit more about the history of New Jersey. If I go up here, I can search New Jersey, and look at that. It pulls up New Jersey information from the web. I can also pull images or even look in my Google Drive, which is pretty cool. I'm going to create another slide here, and I was tasked with creating a cool new hip word for our company. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out of my Explore, out of my themes, just so I have more real estate, and I'm going to go over to our fourth slide. Now, I had to create something, so I came up with something called You're Awesome. Just one word, You're Awesome. Now the problem is if I wanted to run a spell check, it's going to tell me that this is a wrong spelling because this isn't a real word. I'm going to show you how we can do a spell check, and then we'll talk about how we can manage our autocorrect to accept the word You're Awesome. So to get to spell check, the first thing we're going to do is go over to the Tools menu, and we're going to go to Spelling, and you'll notice that we have the option for spell check right here. And I'm going to give that a click. So I'm going to go to Tools, Spelling, and Spell Check. Now, once I do that, it's going to say, okay, we see there's a wrong word. It's You're Awesome. Do you want us to change it to You're Awesome? Because I think that that's maybe what you were trying to say. Now, I can either change it, ignore it, or add it to the dictionary so it never comes up as a incorrect word again. But before I do any of those, what we want to make sure to happen is that when we have our spelling, we want to make sure that this option is on, underline errors. Because if I turn this off, you'll notice that now it's not underlined in that red squiggly. And I won't know that this was counted as a spelling error. So I'm going to go back to my tools, spelling, and I'm going to make sure that I underline all of these spelling errors. All right, so now I have You're Awesome here. And what I want to do is I actually want to add this to my personal dictionary so that Google Slides doesn't count it as a spelling error. And to do that, we're going to head over to the Tools menu again, go to Spelling, and this time you'll see the option for a personal dictionary. And I'm going to give that a click. When I do that, I can add the new personal dictionary word right here, and I'm going to add You're Awesome. And then I'll click on Add. Once I click OK, you will now notice that that error will disappear because I added it to my personal dictionary and I counted it as an actual word. So if you ever come into an instance where you're creating a new word or something that your company is using that no other company or anyone else is using, you can do that and add it to your personal dictionary so you no longer need to see those spelling errors. And if I run a spell check now, we're all set. We've been putting in some great content within our slides here, and it would be a shame if my battery died or something happened and none of this saved. So you may be asking yourself, where do we click on save? Well, the good news is that Google Slides automatically saves every single keystroke that you do. So for instance, if I go to slide 2 here, I want you to take a note right over here. See where this cloud is? Just watch what happens when I delete this bullet. It says saving. So it's actually saving every little thing I do. Even if I remove hi, it saves it right away. And you'll notice it says save to the drive. Now you may be asking yourself, what is Drive? Google Drive is a cloud-based storage system for our documents, our slides, and our spreadsheets. So if I wanted to take a look at this document ever again, it's actually automatically saved in my Google Drive. So how do we access Google Drive? Well, there's a couple of ways. We can always go back to our account and we can access Google Drive there. We can go over to the Slides home, and if I click into it, you will now see that I can access it right here, and it's an untitled project. Now, if I click back into it, I'll open it up, and I may want to just name this. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to name this Joe's Fun Presentation. And it's telling me how it's saved in my drive. So I'm going to say, okay, I see my drive. How do I get there? And I can actually open the folder in the new tab. And this is my drive. This is where all of your files are going to be stored, which is great because it's a cloud storage system. And no matter where you are, as long as you have internet connection, you can access your files. But let's say that I want to access Google Drive when I first log in. So I'm just going to close out everything and show you where we can find it. Once again, I'm going to use Google Chrome to open up that web browser. I'm going to make sure I'm signed into my Google account right over here. And if I click on that grid, waffle, or whatever you like to call it, this is my Google Drive. And when I click on it, it will bring me back to my Google Drive here where I can access that presentation that I'm working on. And I'll click on it. And if I give it a nice double click, it's going to open it back up for me and I can continue to work on it. So take a moment, check out your Google Drive. You might have some documents there that you didn't even know you had. The content that we've put into our slides so far has been all text-based. We can actually insert other things as well, called objects. We can insert shapes, or even lines, or pictures, or videos. We'll talk about all of these throughout the course. But right now, let us add another slide any way that you like. I'm going to go to Insert, New Slide. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter in some shapes and lines. Now to insert a shape or a line, there's multiple ways we can do that. We can go into the Insert menu, and you'll notice that we have the option to insert a shape, and we have shapes, arrows, callouts, equations, or even we can insert some lines, like a line or an arrow or an elbow connector. And if I wanted to, I can insert an arrow, and when I click on it, I get my cursor. I'm just going to click an arrow right this way. And there we go. I have my arrow. And I can move it around, put it wherever I like. We can insert our shapes by once again going to Insert, Shapes. And I can choose a shape. Maybe I want to insert a square. And I can move it around once again. But I can also use my Quick Access toolbar to insert both shapes and lines right here. So I have my shapes and I have my lines. And I'm going to insert a couple more shapes here. I'm going to insert, let's do a circle. And you'll notice that when I'm sizing this out, it will actually size it out to the size of my other shapes. And I'm just going to size it just like that. And I'm going to insert another one. And I'm going to do let's do a triangle. And There we go. I think that's good. Good. Perfect. Okay, so now I have my shapes and my line. So now that we have our shapes and our lines, we're going to actually format these objects. So stick around, create your shapes, and then we'll learn how to manipulate them. So now that we have our shapes here, we can actually format these shapes. Now, once again, similar to the way we did our text before, you'll notice that when you click off, we have background, layout, theme, and transition. But the minute we click on the shape, we get some more formatting tools. Now for shapes, the biggest formatting tools we're going to be using are the fill and also the border, because we're going to choose what the border of the shape is, what the color is, what the size is, and then we're going to fill it with colors that we like. So for instance, let's do a nice yellow. I'm going to select the square, click on my fill, maybe red, and I'm going to select my triangle, and I'm going to fill it with a nice green. Now the borders, as you notice right now, are black. If we didn't want to have a black border, we can once again select the shape, go to our border color, and choose the same color so that there are no borders. Just like this. And what you'll notice is, now I have my three shapes without the border. And look at that. I can manipulate these, make them bigger, and format them any way that I like. Same thing with my line over here. I can change the color of my line by clicking Align Color. Maybe I want it to be a nice blue. I can also choose the line weight, which means the thickness of it. Maybe I want it to be a little thicker. I can also choose if it should be a dashed line or where the line starts. Maybe I want it to be another arrow, so it's a double-headed arrow. Pretty cool. So we have a bunch of ways to manipulate these shapes. Take a moment, try this out on your own. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how we can group these shapes together and also ungroup them and layer them. Sometimes we may want these shapes to be in a specific position. Like for instance, maybe I want this red square to be a little in the middle, I want the circle to be on the left, and the triangle to be a little more on the right. Now I really like this placement, but the problem is I want all three of these to actually be moved over here. And well, that's going to be tedious for me to do if I have to move them individually. So what I can do is I can actually group these three shapes together and make them one object. As you notice, when I click on each of them, they're their own object. So to group all three of them to become one, the first thing we have to do is select them all. Now, once they're selected, you'll see the sizing dots and the border around them. So I'm going to select my circle first, and then I'm going to hold down my Control key on my keyboard and select the square. And now you'll see that both the circle and the square are together. And I'm going to now add the triangle, holding down my Control key still. And now you'll notice that I have all of them selected. Now, once you have them all selected, what you're going to do is you're going to go up to your Arrange menu, and you're going to select Group. And I want you to notice that there's also a keyboard shortcut to group as well. So once I select Arrange, and then I select Group, what will happen is all of these objects will now be grouped as one. And if I click away and I click back on it, you'll see that I can move this entire object as one over here if I wanted to. Pretty cool that we have that option. And I'll move the line over here. Now, if we ever wanted to ungroup this, all we have to do is click on it, once again go to Arrange, and then go to Ungroup. And you'll notice there is a keyboard shortcut. I'm going to give this a click. And now they're actually all ungrouped, and I can click them all individually. Another thing we may want to do with these shapes is change the order of the layers. And what do I mean by that? Well, you'll notice that when I click and drag around this circle, it's actually in front of the square. But you'll notice if I drag it right next to the triangle, it's behind the triangle. I want you to really think of this as like a notebook. Let's say that this triangle is on the first page of the notebook, this circle's on the second page, and the square's on the third. You'll notice no matter where I move this square, it will always be on the third page, unless I change the order of things. So let's say I want this square on the first page. What I would do is I would go over to my Arrange menu once again, and this time I would click on Order, and I can either send it backwards or send it to the back. Now, if I send it to the back, it's going to go to the last page. And if I send it backwards, it's going to go one page at a time. So if I send it backward, you'll notice it goes behind the circle. And now the circle is the top page. The square is still on the last page, and now the triangle's in the middle. Now, if I send it back one more time by going to Arrange, Order, and I send it backward, you will now notice that the triangle is on the last page, the square is on the second page, and the circle is on the first. Now we can bypass all of this so we don't have to do it one by one. Let's say I wanted the triangle up top. Well, then I can go to Arrange, and I can say bring it to the front. And it will bring it all the way to the front page. So this is a great way we can start to layer different things. Let's say we wanted to put a little bit of a border behind shapes and lines. We can do that by going to our shape. I'm going to insert a shape. I'm going to insert this fun looking thing. Let's do this. This looks good. And I'm going to draw it right here. But the problem is it's in front. If I wanted to bring it back, remember, go to Arrange, Order, send it backwards. Maybe I want to send it all the way to the back, so I'm going to go to Order, send all the way to the back. And now you'll notice the shape is behind the words. We can make it look really nice and do different things like that. And there we go. I might want to minimize this a little bit and change the color of it, which we now know how to do. So as you can see, this could be very beneficial when designing our slides. Another thing we can do in Google Slides is insert images to add a little more of a visualization in our presentations. Now to do that, what I'm going to do here is insert another slide, and you can join me, and I'm just going to use my quick access toolbar this time. And what I want to do is I want to insert a slide of my favorite animal. Now, my favorite animal is a dog, so I'm going to say dogs. And I'm going to click over here, and to insert a picture, there's a couple ways to do it. The first way is we can go over to our Insert tab once again, and go to Images. And the great thing is we can insert images from a couple different places. We can insert an image from our computer if we have it saved there. We can search the web for an image. We can also choose our Google Drive if we have one saved there, photos, a URL link, or even a camera if we wanted to take a picture with our laptop if we have a webcam built in. But I'm going to search the web. Now the second way we can insert a photo is just coming over here on our quick access toolbar and clicking on the photo insert image icon. And I'm going to give that a click, and we have the same pop-up menu. I'm going to search the web, and it's going to bring up Google Images on the side here, and I'll search for an image. And I'm going to search for dogs. And look at that. That's such a cute puppy. I'm going to use that one. So I'm going to select it. I know it's selected because of that little check mark, and I'm going to click on Insert. It's going to take a moment, and then look at that. It's going to insert my little puppy here. I can size it down if I wanted to, just like that, and move it around as well. Very similar to adding text or adding shapes, we can actually format our images as well. Now you'll notice that the image came in just like this, and if I click away from it, it's just a normal image, no borders or anything. But when you click onto the image, you have a couple of different options right over here. You have your crop option, you have a reset image option, so if you make any changes, you can always reset the image if you don't like them. You can replace the image, or you can just simply use different border colors and border thickness to really add a little bit of a fun border to this image. So for instance, I may want to add a border, and I'm going to do a blue border here, and you'll notice now it has a very small border. And if I go back and click on the image, I can also change the border weight and apply a little bit of a thickness here. I'll do 8. We can also crop the picture if we want to. Maybe I want to add a little more of just the puppy. And when I click it, it'll give me my cropping tools here. And I'm just going to pull down. I'm going to crop that. And I'm going to just crop right like that. I think this is perfect. And then I can click the crop icon again. And there it is. All right. So it's starting to look really nice. I have a nice little image here. And I might want to paste it right over here. Make it a little bigger. And I think we're good to go. So that's how we can actually take an image, add a little bit of fun formatting to it, add different borders to it. And if we did decide that we don't like it like this, we can always click on reset the image and it'll reset it back to its default. Being able to insert images into the slide presentation is really amazing. But we also have the ability to insert videos as well. Just in case you wanted to show a small video or clip, you can do so by going up to the Insert tab and this time clicking on Video. Now when I do that, I'm going to give that a nice click. I can actually search a video online by URL. I can search on YouTube, or if it's already in my Google Drive, I can search my Google Drive. But let's say I wanted to add a small clip from YouTube about puppies because I love puppies. So I'm going to search for puppies. Let's do a 10-second video. And I'll search for it. Let's see if they have anything. And it says funny puppies and cute video compilation. That's great. It's about 11 minutes, so not what I'm exactly looking for. And you'll notice right underneath, we see how many minutes it is, a little summary of what it is. And there we go. And I might use this one right here, 10 seconds. Exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to select it and click select. And it's going to insert the video right here. Now, once I do that, I do have some formatting options as well. And you'll see the video playback. It'll show me the 10 seconds. I can actually start it at a certain time and end it at a certain time. I can autoplay it when presenting. Maybe I don't want the audio, I just want the visual. I can mute the audio, or even change the size, rotation, position, all these different things as well. And when I click on play, you will now see the video playing. Once we have the content on our slides, the next thing that we're going to want to do is add a couple of transitions to these slides. Now, a transition simply transitions from one slide to the other in a great way. To get to the transitions, you're going to go over to your slide and you will see transition right here. Another way we can access our transition layout is if we go over to our quick access toolbar and click on transition. Now, once you click on this, it's going to open up the motion grid right over here. And what we can do is, let's say I go to the first slide here and I want to do a quick slide transition. We have a couple to choose from. Now, I'm going to click on the drop down, and what I can do is choose maybe a dissolve or a fade. I can slide from the right or the left. I can flip, do a cube, or even a gallery. So let's say I wanted to just do a simple fade, which is the most common transition that people use. I can give it a click, and I can apply it to all the slides so I don't have to click on every individual slide to choose fade. Now, the best practice is that you're going to want to use the same transition for every slide, or else it could get pretty distracting during a presentation. So I'm going to apply this to all the slides, and I'm going to play to see what it looks like. When you click on play, it gives you a little bit of a preview as to what the slide will look like once you start to click. So you do have to click in this preview. It's like you're doing a practice run through. So I'm going to click, and it looked pretty good. So now if I want to present this, I'm going to click on present right up top, and we'll talk about presenting in a little bit. I'm going to click, and that fade just looks really nice. Nice little transition. It kind of does that little fade out. It's a lot better than just switching to the next slide. And there we go. Another thing that's really beneficial for us is using animations. Now we use animations when we want to animate the content that we have within our presentations. So to actually get to the animations, it's very similar to transition because they're one in the same spot. If I click on transition here, you'll see it opened up the motions pane where it has slide transition and object animation. Now to open up the motion, let's say that I had it closed, you would go over to view and go to motion. And you'll see that it has both the slide transitions and the object animations. So let's say I want to animate some of my objects here. I'm going to go back to my slide 2. For instance, if I want to animate this text, maybe what I want it to do is pop up from the bottom and just go all the way to the top there. It's just going to go across the screen just like that. To do that, I'm going to come over here, select it. Now I always like to say we want to select what we want to affect. So since I want to affect this here, I'm going to make sure it's selected. Now I know it's selected because of the sizing bullets all around here and the border. Now that I have it selected, I can come over to my motions pane and click add animation. And we can add an animation here, like our fade in, but I don't want that. So I'm going to click on the options, which if I click, you'll see a bunch of different options. And I actually want this to fly in from the bottom. So I'm going to select that one. And I can choose to either do it on a click or from a previous animation. Since this is my first one, I'm going to make sure that it's on my mouse click. Now, you can also choose if it's by paragraph, which it would be individual lines here, or just the whole thing. I'm going to want the entire thing to come through, so I'm going to make sure I have this deselected. The last thing I have to do is choose the speed. And whatever speed it has here, I'm just going to keep that default. Now I can test it out by pressing on play, and let's take a look at what it looks like. Looks good. Perfect. Now we can do the same thing to the next one by clicking on this one here. And you'll notice that the animation, the fly-in, is affecting the hello object. So it gives you a little preview of what it's affecting. If I add an animation for the yay, and I click add animation, you will now see that it's pertaining to this object. And for this one, I think I'm going to do a nice fade in. I'm going to keep it that way. And I can actually, instead of clicking on the click, I can do after the hello by clicking the drop down and selecting after previous. This will make sure that this hello flies in from the bottom first, and then it does the fade in for the yay. And when I click play to see how that works, I'm going to do my first click, and it worked beautifully. Now for my last content here, what I want to do is I'm going to click it, and for this one, let's do another animation, but I want it to fly in from the left. So I'm going to do a nice fly in from the left. And I'm going to do it after the previous as well. But this time, I don't want all of this to fly in together. I actually want this one to go first, then this one, then this one, and then this. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select by paragraph, because now it will do 1, 2, 3, and 4 instead of the entire thing. And when I click play, let's see what that looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Now it's important because if I did not click this paragraph, this would have all come in at once. and that may not be something you're looking for. So I'm going to deselect it to show you now what it would look like if I didn't have it selected. And there we go. So make sure that you determine which one you actually want. Do you want it by paragraph, which means each individual one, or do you want it as a group, which means you don't have to have this selected? And that's how we can add animations to our text. Now we can add animations to our shapes as well. Maybe I click on this triangle and I want to add an animation, and I want this triangle to, let's do a spin. I'm going to make it spin, why not? And I'm going to click play. Let's see what that looks like. Pretty cool. And I can do that for all of them. I can spin this one first. I can click on the circle, add the animation, and I'm going to do a spin on this one. But once again, I don't want to click 3 times, so I'm just going to say after previous. I'm going to add another animation after I click on my square here. Spin after previous. And there we go. So it's going to be click, it's going to spin the triangle, then it's going to, once that's done, spin the circle, which we won't really see, and then we'll do the spin the square. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. Perfect. We can also affect our videos and our pictures as well. So I'm going to add an animation, and I want this one to fly in from the top on my click. And there it goes. Looks good. So take a moment, try that out for yourself. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about how to actually run the slideshow. Now that our slideshow is feeling a little complete, we have our content, we have our transitions, and our animations, what you're going to want to do is actually present the slideshow. And there's a couple ways we can do this. The first way is to actually go into our View menu and click on Present. Now, once we do that, you'll notice that we do have a keyboard shortcut for Control F5. And if we press it, it will start the presentation. Another way is to come right over here, and what we'll do is we'll click on our Present. And if I click on the dropdown, we can actually enter in a presenter view, and we can see our speaker notes, and we can also present with the audience Q&A if we wanted to. We can present on another screen or present from the beginning. Now, no matter where I'm selected, if I start to click on the present, it's going to present from that exact slide. So if I'm on my About Me slide and I click present, you'll notice it starts off there. If I wanted to start from the beginning, I can then click on the dropdown and click present from the beginning, and it'll bring me to my title slide. But I don't have anything on it. Now, once you're presenting, there's a couple of options you have right down here. You can use your mouse to click. You can click on the next slide to play it. You can click over one. All these different things. And look at that. We can open up a Q&A, which we'll talk about another time. We can also open up our speaker notes, and I'll show you what that looks like. Now, the speaker notes are nice because we have all of our notes here associated with each slide. So if we ever need to reference something or look back at something, we can always do that. It also tells us our time right up top to see how long we're taking within our presentation. We can do Q&A, but like I said, we're not going to get into that today. Now, another great thing we have here is the pointer, where we can point to things and say, hey, everyone, this is what we're looking at. We're looking at this as the new sign. We're looking over here, and we can get people's attention. We can also use captions, or even if we needed some tips or keyboard shortcuts, we can look here. Now, if I click over here, this will enter into my full screen. You'll notice it changes a little bit from just a web browser, and it fills up the entire screen. Or we can access some of the settings, like open up the speaker notes or auto advance when played, different things like that. Or even exit our show by clicking the escape key on our keyboard, or just clicking exit. While running our slideshow, you may have noticed that we have the option for speaker notes. Right now, what I want to show you how to do is add speaker notes to your slideshows. Now, if you don't see your speaker notes already, no worries. To view your speaker notes, we're going to go over to the View section here. And you'll notice right here we have speaker notes. And it'll show that they're on. And you'll see your speaker notes right down here. Now, mine got pushed a little bit, so I'm just going to pull mine up. And there they are. So if yours are on, it says they're on and you still don't see them, you'll notice that there are these 3 dots right here. Just simply click and grab that and drag it up, and you'll see your speaker notes. Now, to add the speaker notes, I'm just going to click right in here, and I might just say something like, don't forget to mention the new logo. Now, speaker notes are really great because you can keep those right next to you. And while you're presenting, let's say, for instance, I'm presenting in presenter view, I can see exactly what my audience sees. I can see the previous or the next slide, and I can see my speaker notes here. So for slide 2, I see my speaker notes. Don't forget to mention the new logo. And that's great because now I have all of my notes right here for me to access just in case I need them. And there we go. Now, when using Google Slides, it may not always be to present to a room full of people. It might be to actually use it as handouts for handing out information or a resource to people. In that case, I'm going to show you how we can print the slides as handouts and also include our speaker notes if we want to. So to do that, the first thing that we're going to want to do is go over to our File menu. Once there, we're going to click on Print Settings and Preview right here at the bottom. And when we do that, it's going to open up a print preview. Now, there's a couple of different things we can do here. I can either choose how I want them to look. Maybe I want 1 slide per page without notes. In that case, it would look like this. Maybe I do want to add my speaker notes, so I'm going to click 1 slide per page with notes. And then it'll give us the slide, the notes underneath, slide, and there's my note. I can also print this out as a handout, maybe 1 slide per page, or multiple slides per page. Or maybe I want to do 6 slides per page. And there we go. I can choose if it's going to be portrait or the orientation will be landscape. I can hide a background if I have any. I can include skipped slides, download this as a PDF, or actually print it out right away. Now, to get back to my Google Slides, I can close the preview and get back to editing. And if I do want to print this, now that I have it all set up, I can either go over here to my quick access toolbar and click on print, or I can go into the Files menu and choose print. And you'll notice once again, it does give you that option for the keyboard shortcut, which is always my favorite. Now, we don't only have to print our presentations. What we can also do is send our presentations as, well, an email attachment. To do that, there's a special button. It's going to be in the Files menu, and you will notice we have the option to email as an attachment. And if I click on that, it's going to load it up, and I can also send a copy to myself. That's the first option if I wanted to. I can choose who I'm going to send it to. I can put the subject in, a message, and choose what kind of format, whether it's a PDF, a PowerPoint, or just plain text. Once I choose that, and I choose who I'm sending it to, maybe I'll send it to myself. Fun. I can just simply click send. It'll send it out, and I'm good to go. If this is something that your company is going to be using for a while, and it's something that's pertaining to maybe like a gallery of pictures for your company, you can always publish this presentation to the web, which is pretty cool. And it's pretty simple to do as well. To do that, you're first going to enter into your Files menu again. And this time, you're going to select the Publish to the Web. And when I click that, it's going to open up this dialog, and it's going to say, well, do you want a link or do you want to embed it into a website? Now, if I do a link, it will ask me, hey, do you want to auto advance the slides? And if you do, how often do you want to do it? Every second, every 3 seconds, every minute? And I'm going to just keep it as the default. We can then start the slideshow as soon as the player loads, or restart the slideshow after the last slide, which I always recommend. And then we can publish it. Now, we do have some published content in settings, and we can start publishing right away. Or if we were to embed this into an HTML website, we can go to the embed and we can choose the size of the file. Maybe it's a large slide that I want. And we have some of the similar options. And then we can start publishing right away. But I'm not going to do that because this is just a practice one. Take a moment to take a look at some of these settings. And when we come back, we'll say our goodbyes. I hope you really enjoyed that course. I had a lot of fun being here with you today and learning some cool tips and tricks when it comes to Google Slides. Now, that was more of an introduction level course, but no worries, we are working on some more fun content when it comes to Google Slides. Thank you once again. Stay safe and stay healthy.